Great. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Stanley Museum of Art. This is our first artist talk of the semester, so we're very excited to welcome Isabel Cauas here with us today. She'll be in conversation with Diego Lasansky and Adam Rake. As we get started, I invite you to take a moment to reflect as I read the University of Iowa Land Acknowledgement. The University of Iowa is located on the homelands of the Ojibwe, Anishinaabe, Chippewa, Bahoji, Iowa, Chickapew, Kickapoo, Ometmanewak, Menominee, Miamiya, Miami, Natuchi, Missouri, Omaha, Omaha, Wazaji, Osage, Jiware, Oto, Ottawa, Ottawa, Ponca, Ponca, Potawatomi, Neshnabay, Potawatomi, Meskwaki, Nemahoki, Sakawaki, Sac and Fox, Dakota, Lakota, Nakote, Sioux, Sanish, Nobaka, Nueta, 3 affiliated tribes, and Ho-Chunk Winnebago nations. The following tribal nations: Omaha, Omaha Tribe of Nebraska and Iowa, Ponca, Ponca Tribe of Nebraska, Meskwaki, Sac and Fox of the Mississippi and Iowa, and Ho-Chunk Winnebago Tribe of Nebraska nations continue to thrive in the state of Iowa, and we continue to acknowledge them. As an academic institution, it is our responsibility to acknowledge the sovereignty and the traditional territories of these tribal nations, and the treaties that were used to remove these tribal nations, and the histories of dispossession that have allowed for the growth of this institution since 1847. Consistent with the university's commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion, understanding the historical and current experiences of Native people will help inform the work we do, collectively as a university, to engage in building relationships through academic, scholarship, collaborative partnerships, community service, enrollment and retention efforts, acknowledging our past, our present, and future Native nations. And now I'd like to welcome up Diego Lasansky to introduce Adam Rake and talk about our program tonight. Diego is a member of our board and with Lasansky Galleries, and Isabel is a resident artist there this month.
Thank you, guys, and thanks for coming. We didn't quite know what kind of a turnout we were going to have, so it's nice to see everyone. I just wanted to give a small description on Adam, because Adam is a local artist here and not everybody knows him. You should have a chance to meet him. He's been working at the Lasansky Studio now for 20 years and was born on the East Coast and is a printmaker, painter, sort of as we think today of artists, kind of all medias. So he has a show right now that's opening this weekend at the Cedar Rapids Museum. So if you get a chance, I would definitely plug and go see that and check it out. So I'll invite Adam to come up and honor Isabel, who is a Chilean printmaker visiting for a month now that will be doing a residency here at our gallery. So welcome.
Thanks, Diego, and thanks everybody for coming out tonight. I just want to do a brief introduction of Isabel. So we're very excited to have Isabel here for the month as our first international artist in residence at the Lasansky Gallery and Studio. A little bit about Isabel. Her career spans nearly 4 decades, and her work uses the techniques of printmaking, drawing, painting, and metalsmithing. And she has been part of numerous national and international solo and group exhibitions since 1988. Presently, Isabel is president of the board of the Corporación Cultural Taller 99, which is an historic printmaking workshop in Santiago, Chile, that has been in operation since 1956, where she teaches lithography. Isabel is also the vice president of the board of the foundation of the Printmaking Museum, MUG, UPLA, in Valparaiso, Chile, and a board member of the Fundación Cultural de Providencia, Santiago. And she's also on the International Printmaking Organization Alliance of the China Printmaking Museum in Shenzhen, China. Isabel has had extensive experience working with artists internationally as a visiting artist in workshops around the world. While at the workshop TR99 in Santiago, Isabel has produced and published several books about the artists who have worked there. Her current project, which is under production, is Women Printmakers Who Have Left Their Imprint at Taller 99. This book highlights 47 selected women artists who have worked at Taller 99, spanning the years from when it opened in 1956 to the present. Some who have achieved high honors and the heights of recognition, and about others who history have, for different reasons, forgotten until now in this book project. Each profile tells a unique story of a woman seeking to make art under the constraints and expectations of Chilean society over the past 6 decades. So Isabel will highlight this, some of the artists from this book project during her talk this evening. Just a little bit about how Isabel found her way here to Iowa. She and I crossed paths in 2016 when I was where we were both artists in residence at the Guanlan Original Printmaking Base in Shenzhen, China. We had been working together for several weeks when we realized that we had an interesting common connection in history. The founder of Taller 99 in Santiago, Chile, Nemesio Antuñez, was an artist who was in a very important printmaking workshop in New York City in the 1940s called Atelier 17. The same workshop where Mauricio Lasansky, the founder, one of the founders of the printmaking program here at the University of Iowa, where he was recruited to come teach at the University of Iowa in the 1940s. So we realized that somehow, you know, from a workshop in South America and a workshop here in Iowa, we find ourselves in China, and we have this common ancestor in the printmaking world, which is this workshop, Atelier 17 in New York, where the efforts of those artists kind of nurtured our love for printmaking and influenced our work still to this day, nearly 70, 80 years later. There are examples up in the education study room on the 3rd floor of prints from that time period, which I really encourage you to go up to see. They're really beautiful examples. And something about Atelier 17 that provides some context for the talk, it was a communal printmaking workshop where many different artists from around the world, because it was during the war years, were kind of congregating in New York City at the time. And so they were all working in a relatively small workshop, watching what each other was doing and learning and sharing techniques about printmaking, and they really advanced the overall aesthetic of the medium beyond just a means of reproduction and into an art form that really is on par today with any other from history. So with all that said, I'm very excited to introduce Isabel for her talk today, and no, the floor is yours, Isabel.
Thank you, Adam. First of all, thank you for all of you that you are attending here and to be with me. I am so happy to share whatever I will. And if you have any question that you want to be answered in the middle of the presentation, is okay with me. But first, I would like to thank the Iowa Museum, the Stanley Museum of Art, for having me here, and all the Lasansky family, Thomas and Charlie and Diego, for this invitation, and especially to Adam that brought me here. So I would like to tell you one of the reasons why I start this research about what I'm going to tell you. This will be the name of our dream book. In Spanish, it would be Huella Femenina en el taller 99. It's very hard for me to translate this phrase, but it's something like women that have left their imprint at Taller 99. So there's not only the imprint in prints, if not what they have been teaching, and as a way of life also. Taller 99 was founded how Adam explained by Nemesio Antunes, who happened to be here in Atelier 17 in New York, and he really enjoyed the way that William Hayter did printmaking, but because it not was a formal way of teaching printmaking, it was the way he got together these artists that already work of art to play with the technique. So in a way, he make the innovation from the reproduction printmaking to the creation of art through printmaking. So Nemesio, when he come back to Chile after having the experience at Atelier 17, he want to replicate the same thing. But he tried to teach at the university, but the university in Chile, they were very closed mind, and they were still trying to teach printmaking as a reproduction. So he tried to fight with that. He put a printmaking press in his own house and started inviting some friends to learn printmaking. So you can see here is an old table of Atelier Taller 99, where people of all ages share life and technique at the same time. So here is Nemesio, and this small letter from William Hayter is how everything started. Here, Nemesio didn't have any money to pay for the fee of Atelier 17, so William Hayter invite him, and we think that he invented that someone was paying a fellowship for him, but for sure it was himself that he was inviting Nemesio, and he's offered also some money for paper and copper plates. So we have this card as a precious gift, because it's like why we Taller 99 exist after 67 years. We are a very big old studio. So here is one of the very old photos from some of the members that they became very famous, and many of them have passed away. So now I will start to telling you about my research. Here you have two books. The one on the right, this is my right. I don't know what the right you said. This one, yeah, this one was written by Paula Bellis. She's editor of a newspaper in Chile, so she's a journalist, and so she did this beautiful book about the story of Taller 99. And the one on the left is a book about Rosenbru, who's one of the founders of Taller 99, and I am the author together with Rafael Monita, and I designed it. So together we start dreaming about this book that is about the woman of Taller 99. The idea first came when I saw the book of the woman of Atelier 17 that was out like maybe 4 years ago or something like that, written by Christina Whale. So when I started reading a new or searching about this book, I started knowing that many of the women that were in that studio accomplished very important thing so they found other studio, and so I thought, oh, that's the same thing that is happening in Taller 99. And also, I realized that because in the two books, we realized that most of the members of Taller 99 through the times has been women. So, and some of them, because they have to take care of family members, or they didn't have time to accomplish the printmaker or an artist career, but they have a wonderful, wonderful art piece of work to be shown. So we decide why won't we can do like a research and pay a tribute to this woman, to people to know about this work that they have been done, and they are in some for example, in our Taller 99, we have like an archive, and the prints are in there in the flat files. No one can see them, so we try to do some exhibition, but getting all the information in the book will be nice. We have a web page, so also researcher can look on this exhibition. So here we have 3 examples of 3 extraordinary women that has been very important for us, and I hope they will be rediscovered. So as you can see, we share with women all kind of ages, all kind of ways, and I would like to tell you about Delia del Carril. She was, I think, the first woman that Nemesio invite her to Taller 99. She was the second wife of Pablo Neruda, our Chilean Nobel Prize. And she was born in Argentina from a very aristocratic and very wealthy family. But she was, while she was traveling in Europe, she formed part of the Communist Party. So she was in very can I return a little bit? I'm sorry. Delia del Carril was called Hormiguita by Nemesio Antune. She started attending Taller 99 when she was 70 years old. Can you believe it? She stand by this poet Pablo Neruda for a long, like 20 years. She was older. She was 20 years old, older than him, and she introduced to many people in Europe. So he became what he was. In many ways, thanks to her, the people that she introduced her. But she held her visual art career to accomplish this his husband career. So they separate because Neruda got another woman, and she was very broken heart, and Nemesio took her to Taller 99, and so she started taking classes, drawing classes when she was 70, and because she also wants to leave Chile, because she wants to be a part of Chile and the situation, so she came to New York no, she went to, at that time, Atelier 17 was back on Paris. So she went there, studied some printmaking, and come back to Chile. So she started doing beautiful big prints at the age of 75, 78. So everybody at the studio started helping her, you know, like making the editions. There is a story that everybody said that she arrives to Taller 99 with a package full of cakes. So everybody went to have the cake so she can have the printmaking press for herself, and because she didn't have time to lose, she said. So it's a so this kind of story is like we can keep on having it, you know. It's like she was telling a story about her life. So then Roser Bru, who is next to her at that time, was listening, and then there was sometimes that Roser Bru got old, and so she started telling the stories. So it's like when you are a printmaker, I don't know if you know about printmaking, that we need like a torculo or a printmaking press. You need to share a space. So you need to you need to be clean. You need to be you need to feel safe also with the people that you share next to you, because you are also sharing your intimacy. You know, you are creating something, so you need to be. So a printmaking space is a collaborative space where you share many things, not only the recipe of the varnish, or the how you prepare the acid to bite the copper plate. You also share the recipe for the bread you made that you brought for the lunch that day. So these are the beautiful prints that La Hormiguita did while she was at Atelier 17, Taller 99. So because she grows in grow in land in Argentina where they have horses. She remembers those horses when she was creating them. So she passed away when she was 104 years old. But at the last moment, I heard that Roser used to visit her. So everybody cares for her. She dies very poor, but all the people from Taller 99 help her to pay the bills for the doctor or everything. So now yes. Oh, and maybe 80 something, because she couldn't walk anymore. So, but she, if you see, there is another part. This is the bedroom. Now the house is a museum, but if you see from the bed to this side, there is like a big where's the name for where the painting? Yeah, an easel, and you can see the chalk and everything she used, and the horses became bigger and bigger and bigger, and so she's always complaining that a little plate doesn't fit her horses, so they were always tight, you know, and so she keep on going her art, not printmaking, but it was very sad for me. We went to the museum when we start taking pictures for the book, for her chapter, and there wasn't any print, nothing. They only keep the plates. So we are asking permission to make some prints for the plates, so we can have the pictures for the book. And because this house belongs to the Communist Party, is there's no it's like there's no care about her artwork. So we are trying to preserve, like at least one example of each print for the Museum of Printmaking. So we will try to, because they print some very small editions. So nobody knows where are they have 42 plates. So we need, this is still a good amount of plate if you think she worked from she was 70 to 80. It's still some beautiful prints. So we will try to. So this is Rosette, and there is a beautiful link between La Hormiguita, Delia del Carril, and Rosette Bru. She was from a family, she was born in Barcelona, and her family was Republican. And when the Spanish war arrived, Pablo Neruda and Delia del Carril got a ship that is called the Winnipeg, who take many Spanish to Chile. So she arrived into Chile when she was 16 years old, thanks to this very big ship that Pablo Neruda managed to take. So we apply to the government for her to have the National Prize for Plastic Art in 2015, and so she won. This is the most important prize that our government gives to artists. So also she got some prizes from the Spanish government. So here we are printing for her like long time ago. And so she also passed away 2 years ago, but she went to the studio until the last moment. She passed away when she was 98, but full of energy also, and so much to teach that sometimes we have some our prints. She worked by our side. Maybe you were ready to do the edition. You thought your print was ready, but then she passed by you and said, "Oh, I think it needs this," and with one line, it fixed it all. It's like she was so right. She got a very good eye. So it's like again, it's like she teach you that also. She knows, she teach you, and she recommend books. So all this kind of thing that if you are a painter, maybe you are working by yourself in your studio and you miss all that. Now I'm getting old. I like to work by myself, but I miss too much going to the studio also. So I like to have both, to work by myself, but not miss the lunches or the talking. So Roserbrew has many kind of different topics on her art. She likes to do. She's a very good painter also, but her prints are awesome. I maybe you should go to her webpage and you will be amazed. So beautiful human figures, like we were talking, maybe we have some problems with our children, and so we were talking, and she will be engraving a maternity at the same time. So she likes to do tables also. And this is one of my favorites one. It's very big. So it's nice because we got pictures of her from she was 33 until she was 98. So it was for me to meeting her it is one of the gifts of my life. So this is our studio. We have a small gallery to have prints. Adam did an exhibition about the caprichos there, and it was very well received. So, as you see, many women, we are not. I don't know if this is common, but it's not that. For example, in China, that where the majority are men. I don't know what is happening here in the U.S. What about the printmaking? Do you know is majority? I think this special. So I think, oops. It didn't. Yeah, there's some more, but I think. Yes, please. Oh, nice.
So it's on. Okay. I'm actually really curious about, like, because you're only be able to, you're going to have 47 different stories about women over 60 years coming to the workshop. What do you think it was about that communal workshop that created such strong relationships there, and then how did that inform the artwork that was being created? You touched on that a little bit about, with Roser Brew's work, you might be talking about something and she was working the plate, and kind of some of that energy gets preserved into the process. But so can you talk a little bit about kind of what you think brought the people through the workshop, and how those bonds were created?
You mean no, I think I heard another question. So can you repeat?
Yes,
sorry,
yeah, sure,
I'm sorry.
absolutely. So I'm just curious, like, over the years,
Yes.
you've said, like, the communal aspect of the print shop really created strong bonds amongst the people, where they were not only sharing their artistic knowledge,
Yes.
but they were really sharing aspects of their lives. And you were kind of asking the question, is this the fact that so many women, which is what the book is focusing on, the women of TR99, you're trying to see, is this something that's happening elsewhere, or was there something unique about Chilean society that this became an important place for these women?
Well, because I haven't been in another place, and Taller 99 is the only place I have been, and every time I travel with with my husband because of his job, and I returned, and that's my place. You know, it's like I cannot think of another place. Uh, Something is attractive to me as the other woman that we are sharing. So maybe we feel safe. Maybe we, as I was telling you, we share many things beyond art, beyond beyond the recipe of the the pre-making things, you know, like we share, like for example, Roser was she was so in the need of do pre-making that she left her daughter sleeping by night and then ran to the studio again to take the plate from the acid. It became our second home. It's like I stay sometimes even longer than my own house. It's a collaborative place that attracts you. I don't know if there is another visual artist community like the printmakers have. I don't know. I don't think so.
So this isn't on, but that's okay.
There you go.
Can you talk maybe a little bit about how you became interested in art and printmaking, and what for you was early on inspiration?
Yeah, I decided to start art, and I studied art at the University of Chile, Universidad de Chile, and at the first year we have like sculpture, pre-making, drawing, but no pre-making. And my drawing teacher said, you should take pre-making. And I said, what is pre-making? And I said, when you he said, when you start doing the bills, you know, like the bills, you please remember me. I said, what is he talking about? That I didn't know what was printmaking. We at that time in his history of art, we didn't have any class about printmaking, and because he keep on saying that, when I have to decide what should I take as a major, I went to printmaking, but also because I knew that I will learn something. Maybe I can keep on painting by myself at home, but I knew that for printmaking I need the printmaking press, and I learned the technique. So when I start going to the studio, I will start to get in love. You know, like something happened to me. Like I really start enjoying. You know, to do like indirect things. Like you have to work on a copper plate to have another thing after that. So it's like the indirect thing, like the volume that you get, and so then I keep on going, and I cannot get away now.
Well, they keep dying on me. It must be something I'm doing. Well, I think that's true for so many artists, and especially the origin of how so many artists become interested in art initially. One of the things I think is worth pointing out to folks here, which is really interesting as well, I met Isabel this morning and we had a nice chat, and she talked about how a lot of the people she learned from, friends from that studio and so forth, had known about obviously the Atelier 17 in New York, but also my grandfather, Mauricio Lasansky. And Adam has a really interesting story that I'm going to ask him to briefly share about his journey coming to Iowa City and how it's now you're visiting Iowa City. And at one point in time, really, Iowa City was thought of as one of the printmaking capitals in the world. And today we still have a strong program here at the university, but it's interesting to me how small of a community the printmaking world is, as so many different sort of niche art forms. So maybe you want to talk a little bit about how you came to Iowa City, and then how you ended up in China, and then you guys first met.
Yeah, sure. Well, it's in printmaking. It's really interesting because so for those of you that aren't all like that familiar with the history of print, the importance of that workshop in New York of Atelier 17 was that at that particular time in history, because of World War II, it was displacing artists and sort of became kind of a center of gravity that allowed for kind of this innovation to happen within the medium just by history aligning itself and these people coming together. And so it's important to know that within printmaking, because you require certain equipment, certain chemicals, certain things, it sort of by its nature brings people together because they have to share in that. And so, it's kind of unique in that way, and it does kind of create a particular way to bring artists together, and a particular way that you can learn by watching other people work around you. And so the innovation becomes more collective in that sense, and it could also happen quicker because you're right with each other every day. And so, I didn't know anything about Iowa. I grew up in New Jersey, went to college in Philadelphia. But this is probably a common story with printmakers. We don't know what the hell it is, when we first come across it, because at least of a particular generation, I was coming of age in the late 90s. I had never heard about printmaking. I think I had done maybe a lino cut in elementary school or something, but I didn't know the term. I didn't know what it was about. But as a fine arts student, was required to take a course. And those of us that become printmakers fall in love with it almost immediately. There's something about the tactility of it. There's something about the distance that the medium places between the idea and the final object, that you have to contend with this matrix, this medium, that really, for me, made a lot of sense. And also the sense of touch. There's something kind of magical about these surfaces that we get to interact with, and then the materials are very sensual. The paper, the tools, the inks, everything about it is there's a reason why we fall in love with it. But in Philadelphia, once I went into printmaking and we started to learn about the history, when we got to the 20th century, I learned about Diego's grandfather, Mauricio, and I had really responded to the work. And incidentally, I had a professor who had some of Mauricio's son, Tomas, who's here tonight, some of his work. And I had seen that, and I started to realize that there was something happening that was in Iowa City that I had not learned about. And thankfully, in that history of printmaking class, they talked about the University of Iowa and the work that Mauricio had done out here. And it drew me to want to come to Iowa City. And in 2003, I came out here, and I was really amazed by the concentration in such a small town, of printmaking, and just seeing it around, just walking through town. It was really a precious thing as a young printmaker to see this celebration of print, throughout the years. And you still see it today. I mean, go into Artifacts, you're going to find amazing prints because people have had them in their homes for many years. And we're really lucky to have that in this community. And that's why when I met Isabel in China, and I realized that her workshop was connected to the same place where Mauricio had, because it's also important to mention, because this is an interesting overlap. Mauricio came from Argentina, from Buenos Aires. And so he was a Latin American artist coming to New York, just as Nemesio and Túñez, who founded TR99, came. And they only missed each other by maybe 2 years. So they actually didn't overlap at the same time, but had they naturally would have connected over language, over the fact that their countries are so close together, and then of course artistically as well. And so I just found that so fascinating how printmaking does become this small world that you can really create networks, and part of that goes back to that communal nature and the sharing of ideas and the sharing of technique, really, because we with printmakers tend to be hungry for knowledge. How did you do that? How did you make that happen? Because again, we're contending with this medium all the time, and if somebody's doing something with it that you haven't seen before, you start to share, or you put them in touch with somebody else, and it creates this really interesting network of fellow artists and creative people. And so yeah, that's what brought me to Iowa, printmaking, and that's what brought Isabel here as well. Is that
And
common history?
let me add something. I heard about your grandfather. My teachers used to say, "Oh, Mauricio Lasansky, beautiful graphic." Oh, he because he was very modern, But so I think my teachers in Chile look at Mauricio Lasansky like a very um, um, like a very good master. And also I have a very good friend in Otterbein University who he's already retired, but he studied printmaking here, and so he took courses. So your grandfather was everywhere in my and now I'm seeing his print everywhere. I really I have been enjoying to see it.
Can you talk maybe a little bit about what the studio is doing today and how many people there are, and what you think the future of that studio is?
Yeah, we are like a cultural corporation now. It's like a foundation. So we have all kind of we do teaching. We have maybe like 50 students, all kind of age and different techniques of printmaking. We have some artists who pay some fee to go work, and then we have members even though they don't go to work to the studio, they pay a fee because they want to keep the workshop going. And we do the books. We are working on our archives now, so we will have a virtual museum also, so people can go. They don't need to go and open the archives because that is hard, but little by little we will be able to put those prints that we are keeping on archives on the web. And I think for the future, because I don't know if this is happening here, but in Chile, printmaking is not worth for the university. They are cutting a lot of hours of studio from printmaking. So I think we will have to compensate that, because there's still young people who want to learn about this technique. So I think we will compensate, or maybe start teaching the technique like the old times, like when you go to how you say, when you go, you have a master and then the apprentice,
Yes,
or something like that.
apprenticeship,
Yeah,
Mhm.
I think it would change, because the the way they are teaching printmaking is not anymore.
So maybe we kind of conclude
Yeah.
by having you guys talk a little bit about what you're doing here in Iowa City. Maybe Adam can
Yeah.
talk a little bit about that too. And then
Yeah.
there is also another presentation at Art Building
I
West,
want to get the exact
and then
date on that to let
Isabel
folks
is
know.
going to be working with grad students at the university here a little bit as well.
So let's see. I want to get the exact date of I have it right here. Sorry about that. So it would be, the lecture is, where is it? September 19th. And sorry, I'm trying to read my own handwriting in this picture on the calendar. Good luck there. 6 p.m. The lecture in the lecture hall in the Visual Arts Building, 125 on September 19th. And so there, Isabel's going to, because tonight really was about the book project that she's doing. So we didn't really get to highlight your work, which it would be great. We're in the presentation on the 19th. We'll be able to see more examples of what Isabel does artistically. We do have some examples there on the easels. Those are actual monoprints that she's done. So those are, you really want to get up close and take a look at the beautiful texture and handwork that's in those. And we are having an exhibition at the Lasansky Gallery and Studio on September 15th from 6 to 9 p.m. And Isabel will have more examples of her work there as well. So for the month of September, Isabel's going to be working in our printmaking workshop there, and it's a recently renovated space, and so there is, it's going to be the first time we really have ever done this, where we've brought somebody in specifically to really take advantage of the space that's been created there. And Isabel, you want to talk a little bit about what you're thinking of working on? I mean, you mentioned doing monotypes this time. A lot of your work is lithography as well, right? And woodblock relief. So do you want to talk a little bit about your hoping to make? Have you thought about it yet, or are you just going to jump into it?
Yeah, I think so. I will let you jump. And well, I will, because of the Lasansky have a beautiful space with a big printmaking press, so I will like to do a big monotype.
Yeah.
I was invited to write a chapter of a book that a person in Chile is doing. So he invited me to do a chapter about monotypes. So I would like to ask you some help so we can do that.
Yes, we can work on that and take some pictures while you're working. Yes, absolutely.
So that and another exhibition that I need a big piece. So I will enjoy doing a big
Fabulous.
pieces.
And then again, look, with the communal nature of printmaking, those of us that work at the Lasansky Gallery and Studio are excited. We're going to end up jumping in, I'm sure, on the monotype and wanting to make some of our own. And we're going to get very excited about what you're doing.
I hope so.
Yes. And then we wanted to give a chance to anybody to ask any questions from the audience. So please feel free to jump in.
I do want to also say they pulled specific prints upstairs in the visual classroom if anyone wants to go see them.
Yeah, they're really beautiful. Yeah, any questions from the crowd?
But we'll hang around until.
Yeah. So oh yes, please.
I have a question. So I have a super loud voice, so I probably don't even need this. But anyway, what I wanted to ask is, I just read a book recently about women painters in the New York art scene in the 50s and 60s, and how intensely they competed with one another because there were so few galleries that represented women. That for every 7 spaces in a gallery for a man, there was maybe 1 for a woman, and that drove competition. I'm curious, through the years of this workshop, where you had these women in this really lovely collaborative environment, how those kinds of forces acted on friendships and mutual support. Was there competition among women? Were they able to overcome that and really, continue to have strong relationships with one another?
I think what is happening in Taller 99 is a very uncommon thing, because it's like if one of us have some success, is a success for all of us. if we accomplish to have our gallery working, and it's a success for all of us, and is when someone came and is not in that spirit, it doesn't last. It's like little by little, she left. It's like she doesn't belong. It's a very strange thing. It's something that maybe we cannot explain, but it's like maybe printmaking is less competitive that painter or other kind of art. I don't have an explanation for that. But
It's lovely. Yeah.
yes,
Yeah,
yes,
it's very familiar. Yeah.
yes, it's like that, and because it's maybe it must be many things that must go together, that the result is like that. And we have because we have Nemesio, that he was very generous man. He was at the same time one of the best painter that Chile has. He was also the director of our museum, the big one, and he also runs Taller 99. He also have a TV show that teach people how to look at art. So we have this person and Roser Bru, that they were very generous. So we try to keep on their spirits. So I think this is why it's special. So this is why I need to make tribute to this woman, that they didn't have the opportunity to have an exhibition, and they are beautiful prints. It's like how well at those times Instagram didn't exist. So now we have more tools, but at that time, if you don't have a gallery, you were. But Nemesio tried to get all the printmaking from the country to get together and try to make a gallery to sell all people, not only from Taller 99. So we learned that way. It's
fantastic. Thank you.
yes.
Very good. Well, thank you, everybody. If there are any other questions, please feel free to chat with anybody. And if anybody's interested in the acquiring the book that Isabel is making, it's still in production, but it's going to be, with book projects. I mean, it's got within between a year and maybe a couple. But if you want to share contact information, she'll certainly let you know when the book is available if anybody's interested in that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, the problem that the paper price has rise so much that the price of the book is getting, but now I heard that the price of the paper is slowing down. Yeah.
Oh no.
Well, we wanted to thank Isabel again for coming.
Oh no!
Yeah.
Thank you for your patience.
Yes.
Thank you.